Hello guys and welcome to Almost Solitaire. Today we are not playing Commands and Colors Ancients game, as you can see, pretty obvious, because this is a thing I have been thinking of quite some time now. I'm a big fan of the Agents battles and all that, but there are some other soft spots for me, and here's an example of another conflict that I'm very interested in. Actually, I have plenty of games depicting this conflict. This is the Great Northern War, so we are in the early 1700s here. And that's what I meant with I have been thinking about this in a long time, because I have a big interest in that conflict. I have quite a few games from that conflict or depicting that conflict, and to be honest, I have never played any of those games, so that's a shame. So I thought this could be a good idea to do it solitaire and do it with you guys. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. I sure will enjoy this. So I'm gonna actually create a new list of videos or playlist where I'm gonna put all these Great Northern War battles. So the game I'm gonna start this series with is a game called Kalisz 1706. As you can see here, it actually contains four battles. It's Kalisz 1706, it's Poniec, which will actually be the first one I will play that I have set up here. 1704, we have Tulevice, 1704 as well. Actually, this is 2 days after this battle. Then we have something called Warsaw 1706, better known as Fraustadt, the Battle of Fraustadt, I believe. And this is something I'm really looking forward to. I mean, these are a bit smaller battles. I mean, Fraustadt is a real big battle, actually. So that's gonna be very interesting. So yeah, nice game box. We have Charles the 12th here as King of Sweden, and we have August the 2nd, August the Strong of Saxony and Poland. Now this is okay. So the game is produced by a Polish company called Taktyka I Strategia, probably meaning tactics and strategy. My Polish is very bad, and it's included in a system called the Husaria system. So when you get the game, you will only get the rules in Polish, which is a pity, I think. But luckily there are online series rules of the Husaria systems in English. Now, I have downloaded that, and it's from the Vienna game. But to be honest with you guys, this English translation is pretty bad. Maybe it would be easier for someone whose native language is English, which mine aren't, obviously. So I have quite a struggle to get through these rules, which are not that complex, luckily though. But it's a bit difficult actually to understand all the rules here, and there's also things that doesn't make sense and are quite, pretty much wrong. And I mean, with wrong, I mean things like this. If you look at, for instance, rule 445 here, performing a turn maneuver in enemy side of control is forbidden. And there's two exceptions. One is 523, which is saying cavalry can do a turn maneuver in the SOC, paying a bit more movement points. And then the other exception is 432 here, which points down to here, and there's nothing here. There's no 4.32, and I have read the rules around these, and there's nothing, in the context here that would, tell me what this is about. So I don't know what the other exception is. So there are things like that, and there's some sentences just impossible for me to understand, to be honest. But luckily for me, there's actually a Polish guy who had played this game and uploaded it to YouTube, so I could follow him and understand a few question marks through that. In this Polish rulebook, we have the scenarios. So this is the one we have set up, and unfortunately there are some well, not errors, but strange things here as well. First of all, in the setup list here, you get the names of the regiments, right? And then there are some of these regiments have both an infantry regiment and a cavalry regiment with the same name, and this doesn't really say what it is. It's just one of them. For the Swedish, I know that the Battle of Poniec, that was a cavalry only battle for the Swedish. They only managed to get cavalry to the battle, but the Saxons got both infantry and cavalry here, even though the cavalry would not really participate in the battle that we will look at in a bit. But so that's something. I mean, if they just could put up some note here saying, is this an infantry or cavalry regiment? Again, I could, with some guessing, get what it was, because the cavalry is obviously on the flanks and the infantry in the center. So in the flanks, I'll put the cavalry ones. And I also compared with the guy I talked about, the Polish guy who uploaded this on YouTube, and it seems he set this game up in the same way. So I think it's the valid setup I have done here. There's also, some Swedish reinforcements coming here. So it says, for instance, the Nyland by 2, Pomorsky by 2, and so forth. And then we come to the Woloch, the light cavalry here, and it just says by and nothing. So you really don't know. But again, I think it's 2 units here as well. And again, I checked the guy who uploaded the game, and he also put out 2 of these light cavalry, Swedish light cavalry. So I will do the same. So that's it. As for the battle itself, Poniec, this was late in the fall of 1704, so pretty much in the end of the fall campaign. Charles XII had moved downwards or southwards towards today's Ukraine, and he took control of Lviv, or Lemberg, as it's also known. But when he moved his bulk of his forces towards that direction, King Augustus and the Saxon, they took the chance to invade again back into Poland, or not invade actually, because it's their home territory more or less. But he went over and attacked Warsaw, because the Swedish had also installed a puppet king in Poland at this point. So Augustus wanted to dethrone him, I guess, and went over there. So he took it. And by the way, just for the context here as well, King Charles, 2 years before this, we had a big battle called the Battle of Kalisz. That was a big success for the Swedish army. They totally routed the Saxon army plus the Polish crown army at that point. And from that on, Augustus and the Saxon generals were more cautious to engage in a pitched battle with Charles XII that pretty much seemed, invincible in battle, because these earlier battles also with first over in Humlebek, and we have the Narva battle, and we have he's crossing over the Dyna River close to Riga, and all of those just great successes for the Swedish. And then also Klishov. So the Saxons were pretty wary, and the same thing happened here, because when Charles heard of the news that Augustus was attacking Warsaw, he had to turn some of his forces, at least the ones that could move up fast. So he took the bulk of his cavalry and the best of his cavalry and went in a forced march back towards Warsaw to engage with Augustus. Augustus and the Saxons, they pretty much, when they heard about that Charles was approaching, I wouldn't say they panicked, but they started to retreat back. They wanted to get back into Saxony, and because Saxony was formally not in war at this point of time, so it was kind of only Poland, so they could seek refuge in Saxony and be untouched by Charles. So they started to retreat. Charles moved very hastily, and here in Poniec, which is quite way down south in Poland, I believe, we have a Saxon general called Schulenburg, Matthias von der Schulenburg. I think it's Johann Matthias von der Schulenburg, I believe. He is commanding this quite big army here. I think Augustus was already away at this point of time. He took some of the cavalry and went off. But Schulenburg was with more of the infantry here, slowly moving back towards Saxony or Silesia. And when they were close to the small town of Poniec, which is here on the map, Charles caught up with him, basically. And Schulenburg had no other option than to actually put up his line and, receive the charge of Charles and the Swedes. So pretty much in this battle, they set up a traditional line with the infantry in center. It had also nine guns, so we have 2 batteries here, and the cavalry on the flanks. Now in this game, again, I'm not really sure about this order of battle here, what all these guys are actually, and how they are placed, because I was under the impression, if you look at, we have something called Pruski here. Well, that's probably some German allies to the Swedes. We had the South Scania cavalry regiment, and I was under impression actually what I have read from this battle, that Charles was actually located with those guys on the left flank. We have something called Brema. It's Bremen cavalry, and we have something called Rensköld here. I think these are the Lifeguards regiment, actually. Okay, back to the battle. I mean, it's the same thing over there. I'm not really sure about all these regiments that are set up here. And also, as you see, there are different colors here, and I don't really know what those symbolize. I know this green one here is a Russian. It also has a Russian symbol here over at the right-hand top. But I did not know that there were any Russians in this battle, because in the battle we will see that take place 2 days later here in Tilevich. Then there's the Russians, because they were planning to merge all these guys into, a big army that would be more safe towards Swedish attacks, but they didn't get the time really. They I mean, the Saxons had to lift the siege of Posen, for instance, where Patkul and some others were besieging the Swedish forces and almost took it when the order came from Augustus, I believe, that they had to break the siege and join with Schulenburg and the other Saxons. Anyway, so yeah, about the colors again, I don't know what these guys are. I know these are cuirassiers, voiced cuirassiers, but I'm not sure why they are in a yellowish color other than the white Saxons. We have some Polish infantry. I guess that's why these guys are in a different color. We have other Saxon infantry here. Different color again from these guys. I don't know why. Also the Furstenberg is again in another color here. So it doesn't really say anywhere why they are colored in a different way, because they have not different functions, and it's not like the leaders have commands as certain units. A leader are really not giving any kind of orders in game terms here. They are just there for a few reasons that I will explain in a moment. And actually there are some color differences here as well, but maybe it's because these are cavalry proper and these are dragoons. Perhaps, I don't really know. But yeah, this is the setup. And where were we? Well, Charles caught up with these guys. They set up for battle. Now, Charles were also waiting for reinforcements. There were lots of more cavalry coming from this direction. And his advisors told him that we should wait for them before we attack, because we would just run into the, Saxon guns and be mauled more or less, right? Because this is an open plain. This is, by the way, in the evening. They caught up with the Saxons pretty late in the day, so it was already kind of, in the dusk. So, and also a fog were approaching. So the sight wasn't too good though. And that was also a bit of a concern. Normally you don't attack when it's in the evening time because it's very difficult to conduct a battle during these times in darkness. So they told him, please wait for Stenbock and Velling to arrive with their cavalry regiments, and then we could do the attack. Or perhaps maybe attack the day after or something. But no, Charles is known to be a bit stubborn and very, a real hotspur, so he wanted to attack immediately, not wait. So that's actually what they did, because what he said was more or less the law. So the Swedes attacked, and the Saxons answered with a big volley fire, but to the Saxon disappointment, that volley didn't cause much damage on the Swedes that were attacking. And in the last, part of this charge, they went on the gallop. It's not a typical trot attack that was done during these times. So they galloped into the lines of the Saxons here. And just seeing that volley fail and how the Swedes were not broke an inch from that fire, the Saxon cavalry just turned around and left the field, leaving the infantry fighting the battle alone. That was a disaster, of course, for the Saxons. So the cavalry will be gone, and the Swedish cavalry just breaking into the lines of the Saxons, who start to waver on the flanks. The center is holding back pretty good, actually, but the flanks are not in a good shape here. So the battle rage is on, and Schulenburg takes the. I think he's actually, when he's starting to organize his defense without the cavalry here. He was actually wounded here, but he was pretty brave here actually, this guy. He stayed in the battle, but started to order a general retreat in that direction, which would be westwards, to this is Janijevo, or I think it's also named Janitz in German. So they started to retreat out of this map actually, and towards some other villages over there, which I forgot the name of. And while doing that, he gave a general here, General Byron, which is not even a counter here. He gave him order to take, I think he took 2 battalions to, delay the Swedish attacks while the bulk of the Saxons retreated. So he did. So Byron put up his little defense and actually managed to hold back the Swedes until the Saxons had created a new line of defense in a better position over at some villages. I think it would be outside of the back, just outside of this map actually. And it's said that the Saxons actually created a huge square of all these regiments here. I think it was, each side of the square was like kind of 1 kilometer, and between each battalion there were some guns placed. By the way, the Saxons lost 1 gun during the first assault here, so they had 8 guns with them to that big square, out of the 9 total they had from the beginning. Now, the Swedes started to organize themselves in the former Saxon position here. They managed to chase out Byron's infantry, that the delaying force that I was talking about, and they actually took, I think they took 200 prisoners from this battle. So probably those guys were from the Byron's men who they couldn't really move because they were swarmed by Swedish cavalry all around them. So they probably gave up at some point. Anyway, that square did hold firm, and the Swedes still tried to break that square. At this point, I believe also the Swedish reinforcements start to pour in, and they could get some more punch into the, these guys were probably exhausted from the first charge. So they attacked the Saxon square, and there were big losses on both sides, but because once again the Saxon volley was not that good. Now the fog was more thick, and it was more and more difficult to actually see anything, and also the battle smoke and all that. So not an easy thing to aim and fire at the enemy. Yeah, so that Swedish charge into that square had some success, but a few actually managed to break the square, but were hacked down in the center. So in the end, they got repulsed though, and now the Swedish losses were also mounting really seriously. But still, the Swedish did, organize themselves another charge of that Saxon big square. And so they did, but once again, it was not a success. It was just too hard to break that stubborn defense of the Saxons there. So they were then considering to do it yet once more, but now it's getting really dark, and now also it started to, Charles started to realize about the big losses they have been taking. So he actually probably quite reluctantly break off the attack for the day, and the Saxons survived by that, and they could later on pack up and start to retreat. I think we were retreating towards Silesia at this point in time. Later on, actually, Charles were pursuing him again. I think maybe already the day after, and they caught the Saxons again when they were crossing a river. But the Saxons put up a good defense with some battalions and probably some batteries, you know, to cover their retreat over that river. And the Swedish, you know, with the experience of the day before, or I'm not really sure if it was the day after or not, but maybe it was a few days after. They actually didn't attack. They knew that it would be too costly, and cavalry is a real, you know, expensive thing, and they are, you know, to replace, good horsemen and all that. It takes time to train them, and war horses also. So they actually didn't attack. They let the Saxons get away this time. Or they had to, more or less. But even so, for the Battle of Puniec or Poniec, it's often said that the Saxons got the victory of the battle. And well, seen to the losses, I think Charles said something that the Swedes lost about 300 men. Schulenburg claims that the Swedes lost probably about 1,000 men, and in reality, it's probably somewhere in between. So probably the Swedes lost about 500-600 men. But the thing is, the Saxons lost somewhat the same, about 500-600 men. So in losses, it was pretty even. And to be honest, I mean, who was left on the field when the battle was done? It was more or less the Swedes, right? At least they had pushed the Saxons back from their initial positions over to the villages in the back there. But of course, the failed attacks on that square, you could say that was a victory for the Saxons. So, well, it is maybe a marginal Saxon victory, though, because they survived, and that was probably their goal, to survive and get back to German lands. And they managed to do that, so in that sense, it was a victory, but it's more of a draw if you just look at the loss numbers and all that. What else? Well, I was talking about this pursuit they did the day after, or when the Saxons started to retreat towards that the bridge they were crossing over that river. Charles was also dispatching a big force of Swedes to meet up with the Russians, or attack the Russians who were going to meet up with the Saxons. And that's, as I said, that's the Tylevice battle that we'll also look at. It's a bit smaller than this one, but still, it's going to be interesting. But I think that's maybe enough for introduction for this battle then. Let's look at, I will not go too deep into the rules, but I will, of course, go through a few key points and what the counters represent and the numbers of them. So if you look at one of the Swedish units here, let's take this one. So we have the name of the regiment or battalion, or what this might be, I'm not sure, because it's 3 units, so it's a bunch of squadrons per. I mean, this is probably some regiment, and then we have a bunch of squadrons in each counter here. But anyway, in this game, pretty much all the units have a strength of 2 on both sides, even the artillery. Everything is of the strength 2. And when a unit takes a hit, it's flipped to the strength 1. And next time you take a hit, it's just removed. Then on the right hand side, we have the movement factor. So this is have a movement of 7, which is a typical for cavalry. Infantry moves 4 and artillery 3. The light cavalry, I believe, moves 8, which is somewhere here in the reinforcement stack here. Then we have the number in the red square, that's the morale. 8 is pretty typical on both sides. Then we have some Swedish more elite, they are 9. We also have the cuirassiers over here, they are 9. otherwise has pretty much is 8 everywhere. Then, as you can see here, we have a star symbol. This means they are also fire capable. So before we conduct what's called normal battle or close quarters battles, whatever, they cannot actually fire once. So dragoons can do that. These, even though I don't think Swedish cavalry, even dragoons, did that too much, dragoons worked pretty much as proper cavalry regiments. It's just what I have read, they have a bit more inferior horse than the proper cavalry regiments had. But well, they have this fire capability. Of course, all infantry have that as well. The Saxon cuirassiers don't, but the dragoons can. And the artillery doesn't have the star, but of course they can fire. But it's done in an own phase actually. So that's probably why they haven't put that star there. Now, one funny thing is, if we look in the reinforcement stack, let's see what it is. We have these super Swedish units. They're called the Drabants, which are, here we go, the Drabants. This is the creme de la creme of the Swedish cavalry. I think it was actually just to be a private in this. It's not a regiment. It's I don't know how many squadrons these are actually, but to be a private in this unit, you could say, you had to have the rank of captain. So you can understand these are pretty much all officers in this one. And as you can see, the star, it's in yellow or gold over here. So this means they actually fire twice. And I find that a bit funny because these guys would certainly not stand and fire. These are really, Swedish go på doctrine units. They want to charge. But in this rule system, they can fire, and they actually fire twice. But maybe it just reflects their extra impact when they crash into an enemy, probably. But it's done in what is called the rifle phase, but which should be maybe musketry and pistol phase, I believe, but still like that. So that's the star. What else? Nothing else on the units. Artillery has the same thing. Then we have the leaders. They have a number on their lower right. This is how they can influence combat. So this is an odd system we will use in close combat, and this means pretty much that with Charles is involved in the battle, he will move the odds 1 to the Swedish favor in here. Most of the Saxons have a 0, and the Swedes have a 1 in this battle. Also Stenbock and Velling has a 1. Otherwise, the role of leaders are pretty much, well, they have 3 things. First of all, what we talked about is they can influence the battle. The second thing is that if you are stacked with leader, you cannot be dispersed, which is a term or a combat result. You may end up in these dispersed what's called charts here or whatever. You can put dispersed units here, so it's allowed to have 5 dispersed. If you get more dispersed than that, they will be eliminated. But if you're stuck with a leader and you get a dispersed result, you can ignore that. Then the third thing with the leaders is that every turn you get back half of the dispersed units, and you place them adjacent to a leader. So that's maybe why you want some leaders up in the front, even though as a Saxon player, even though they have a 0, if you look at Drost here, he has a 0, but we might want to keep him up here because he might, bring back dispersed units at his vicinity. That's it. Movement is pretty straightforward from other games. You just pay movement points. It doesn't cost anything to go into socks. By the way, units have 3 front hexes and 3 back hexes. The impact of those is that if you attack from the rear, you only fight with only 1 strength point. Even if you are a 2, there's no other real impact. Well, it's one more thing. You cannot fire in your rear hexes. So in the what is called the rifle phase, you cannot fire back at anyone in your rear. What else? Artillery, they have, otherwise they have always a range of 1. Except artillery, these are light artillery, which is denoted by the L letter there in the bottom. They have a bit of a special range. So if we put an artillery here, these can shoot 3 hexes, but the first hex always must be calculated from the front hex, the 1 front hex. So you can fire pretty much 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's this cluster of hexes that are in the fire zone of this light artillery. Also, artillery can fire in reaction in the enemy movement phase, and they can fire up to 3 times, 1 time per range. So if you fire at an enemy unit in 3 range, they will get a counter like this, saying that now you have fired in the 3 hex range. If you fire again, you will get in the 2 hex range, you will get these 2 and so forth, and then down to 1. So you can fire up to 3 times as a reaction towards enemy movement. Otherwise, the first thing you do in a turn, I think it's the artillery phase, they can actually fire then as well in your own turn. What else? Yeah, there's another reaction thing, and it's cavalry. Cavalry can always react also against enemy movement. So if you move somewhere here at the front hexes, you can move 1 hex to react, pretty much. And then you pretty much do a normal combat with, even though it's the other guy's turn or the other side's turn, these will be counted as the attacker doing a reaction charge. So that's it about that. Then we have a few charges as we used to in these types of games, and these are Polish, so it's gonna be a bit, let's see if I can find them. But I have, so this is the close combat charge. So you pretty much calculate the odds. Cavalry fighting infantry is always doubled in strength, and artillery always fight with strength 1 in close combat. Then the leader can influence the odds, terrain can influence the odds, and also morale. So you check the morale difference. So if you attack with a 9 against an 8, then you get 1 odds in your favor. You always need to attack your guys you have in your zone of control, which is the 3 frontal hexes. So you need to attack each unit in your front hexes, unless it's attacked by some other guy. So that's that. Here we have something called so the results here, if you look at that first. So if it says -1, like this one, -1/-1, that means both sides take 1 hit. So the -1 means take a hit. B1 to B up to B5 is retreat. So that side needs to retreat that amount of hexes. And for each hex you cannot retreat, about the amount of the hexes, you take 1 loss. And you cannot retreat into your own units. Maybe, well, there's something, maybe it's depending on stacking. You cannot retreat into an enemy sock and of course impossible terrain. Is there anything else? Yes, there's an R result as well, and that's the dispersed thing, or this one that we will put the, if you get an R, you end up here. That's it, I believe. By the way, stacking, you can pretty much have 2 strength points of the same type in an hex plus 1 battery of artillery. So you cannot stack 2 full units like this, but you can stack, if this would be half strength or 1 strength, you can, these 2, they could stack for a total of 2. Like that. Okay, so this second thing here is then, if you get these results, you're gonna check, this is for the infantry, and then you check your morale, and you're gonna roll this die, and if you roll this number or lower, I believe, yes, then you actually also end up in the dispersed chart. So if you're forced to retreat, and if a unit retreats, the attacker can gain ground, and also for all the hexes that are vacated, you can follow with attacking units. So you can actually do advance after combat in several hexes. Then we have the terrain chart. So this is clear. I'm not super sure. I need to check these out. My polish is not too good, but I know a few one. This is clear. This is road, so you get cavalry can only place a half movement point per road. This is Hispanski Kozli. I think this is actually just if you have what is called these kind of defensive, what is called Frisian horse or something. I don't know the English term for it, but it's these, you know, spiked trunks or whatever you can put as a defense against cavalry. I think it's called Frisian horse or something like that. Is that correct? I'm not sure. Then we have, I think this is woods and built up areas, so it's 2 and 3. They also have some combat modifiers. This is actually if you attack up or move or attack through a crest line, which are these dark lines here. These are the rivers or streams. Here's the stream, and here is actually real river. I don't think we have a river in this battle. It's just streams. So that's it. Over here we have some more funny tables. We have artillery fire tables, and we will only look at this time. This is light artillery. So you look at the strength points you have. In the beginning they have 2, and Swedes will don't have any artillery in this battle, by the way. So we're gonna fire in the 2. Roll 2d d6 and then check the range here and do the result. So -1 would be a hit, R means dispersed. And if you're dispersed during fire combat, you also take 1 hit. That's it. Here's fire from small arms, so cavalry fire and infantry fire. And that's it. So I think by that we are ready. I mean, this is pretty much a long intro now, but I hope you guys understand. It's good to have some kind of, well, there's some more things I wanted to bring up, of course, before we start. It's this chart actually. So that's a morale chart. So every time you lose a unit, meaning not a step loss, but if you remove a unit from the board, you move these towards the enemy side. So let's say a Swedish unit was eliminated, we will move these up 1 towards the Saxon side. And at one point it could move up to a place where it says a number larger than 0, for instance 1 here. This means for the next turn, not this turn yet, but for the next turn, all battles will have one favor. I mean, that is close combat, one favor for the Saxons, because they have a better morale. I like this one, I really like. That's a good, nice idea. So the battle swings in one, you know, one favor, and then the whole army's morale is it's reflected in this combat by these numbers. So if it goes really well for the Saxons, they could get 3 odds in their favor in each attack. That's really cool. Also defense, actually. But it starts at 0. This battle will have 7 turns, and if we look at the victory conditions, this says, well, Google Translate has been my friend, so I have checked what this means. So this means if a leader is eliminated, you get 6 victory points. For each unit eliminated, you get 1 point. And that's the same for both. It's the same. So there's no terrain or anything that you need to care about here for victory conditions. You just need to kill off as many enemy units as possible. And you have 7 turns to do that. I will be quite aggressive. I want to kind of reenact what happened. So I'm gonna start attacking with Charles already turn 1. You know, if this would be in a tournament and you really need to win the game, you probably should wait a turn or 2 with the Swedes to get their reinforcements and then do a full force attack. Another special rule here is that, well, it says initiative is Swedes. I mean, that just means that the Swedes start every turn. This says 6 gain turns, but this says 7. This is one of the things, you know, I'm really not sure about. But since this says 7, I think I'm going to play it 7 turns. Then we have, well, here's the thing. The Saxon cavalry, when they saw the Swedish attack, they just turned and ran off. So that would be the historical thing, and I think I'm gonna play like that. So pretty much what I will do is on the first turn the cavalry will be there, but from the second turn and onwards, I think it is, they need to start moving towards, move out from the map, all Saxon cavalry. So I'm going to actually do that to play the historical one. There is actually a special rule where you can roll for the cavalry to see if they stay or if they retreat. But as they did retreat in history, we're gonna do that as well. That's it, I believe. So I think with that we just start playing and see what happens and how this game flows. By the way, the Swedes will get reinforcements in turn 1 and turn 2. So already in turn 1 there will be Swedish units entering the map. Okay, let's start the game. Okay, so 2 things I checked up. First was about these Saxon horse. They are simply removed at the end of turn 1. So and we're done with turn 1, we just remove them. I couldn't find out if they are counted as victory points here or not, but I think not, so I will not remove them. Or I will not add them as victory points, I mean. Okay, the second thing, I checked about these Trabants that could fire twice, which was... let's see if I find them again. Here we go, the Trabant. Actually, I checked these in the rules, and they cannot fire twice. They instead get +1 in any combat they do. So that's the thing. So I don't think they can even fire. They should be really just, you know, cavalry that's attacks with cold steel only. Okay, so by that I think we're ready to start turn 1. We are here, and the Swedish had the initiative, so they will start. And actually they will get the Drabant and the other guys, they will be, let me see now, it's Velink. Velink together with 2 of Nyland cavalry, they will get Pomerian cavalry of dragoons. They will get North Scania, 3 horse units there, and then the Drabant and Velink himself. So these are the reinforcements for turn 1. And this is also a funny thing. It says they enter on hex 1120. So 1120 would be outside of the map here somewhere, I guess here. So I just gonna let them enter. I don't really know. Maybe we can let them enter on these 1221, which is a half hex here, really. I think that's fair enough. So by that, let's start. Let's see if we can find a sequence of play here. Let's see. Just a second, I need to log in. Okay, here we go. So we have phase 1 is artillery assault phase, but we don't have any artillery, so there will be no artillery fire turn 1. Then we have movement phase. Let's just see so we don't miss anything. Player with initiative can move his units as far as their movement points allows them. In this case, opposing player can perform artillery attack or units that are on units that are currently moving. There can also be performed fights during movement, but only by cavalry units. In this phase, counter charges can be performed. Yes, so let's see now. So the Saxon cavalry will be riding off the board at the end of the turn 1. So I think we just move up to prepare our assault for turn 2 then. And I believe also it could be wise to outflank the Saxons to get in the rear and attack. So every Saxon unit only defends with 1 SP, right? So if we could get some of the units in the back at least. So I'm gonna start with the Peruski regiment here. So these are not on roads, they will only, so maybe we should start with the guy, no, let's start with this. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. No, that would be 8 actually. I think it costs 1 extra movement points to just cross a slope. So I will be there. Then we have the second one. 1, 2, 3. By the way, 1, 2, 3. It's only half on the road, so it would be. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can get actually further than that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the slope. 5. Actually, they could do a counter charge on me. I don't want that. So I think I still just wait here so I don't trigger these cavalry doing anything. I don't want them to be in the play because they're gonna be removed, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let's leave them there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would bring me into artillery fire, so I just wait there, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it was 1 extra for the stream. Let's see if we can find the charts again. Stroomian, I think that's stream. That will be +1. That's not too much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we have Charles' gang here with the Bremen cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's take Charles himself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I won't bring myself into artillery range yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a kind of a double line. So this line will charge next turn. And now let's bring in those reinforcements. Let's see. I'm gonna give Velink will go with a Scania regiment. Let's say like that. So we bring in him first. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the others just follows, you know. Let's take the Scania ones here. And then we have the Drabants. Then we have the Nyland. And then we have Pomorski coming in. So Swedish reinforcements are pouring into the rear of the Swedish line that is already deploying for a cavalry charge. Okay. So that was the movement phase. We have an attack phase, but we don't have any combat. Then we have artillery assault phase for player B. So now we shift to the Saxon side. So their artillery is not in range. By the way, yeah, we're gonna remove in the end of the turn these cavalry guys. So, well, technically I could of course attack with the cavalry during the first turn, I guess, but then they would just be off. I don't know if it makes sense, but I mean, there should be some reason to just deploy these units. I mean, otherwise you could just omit to deploy these guys, right? So you should be able to do something. So maybe we could do some kind of an attack here on the Swedes before we rout off the field. So maybe they do a kind of a feint attack and then they, you know, do a U-turn and disappears. So let's do that. Let's give them a last hurrah here. So let's see. These guys we could actually attack from a few directions. Maybe we could get a good result on those with the cuirassiers here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Let's do this again. So when I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I was here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I could do a charge actually with the Pruskis. So maybe I should do that before I get attacked by more of these guys. So I'm going to do a charge here. And let's see how this ends. So first of all, before you do any combat, you need to do what's called the rifle phase. So any unit that can fire will do that. And this is the Swedish and the dragoons, they will fire. And then you're gonna check this table. It's cavalry, it's a 2 strength unit, and then we roll. I think there's let's see here. No other modifiers. I'm not sure how about terrain works with this table, to be honest, but it looks like just a straight roll. So let's see what we get. Just a 7. So 7 on a 2 strength unit firing is a miss. So nothing from there. So now we just conduct the combat itself. So the Swedish are attacking with 2 points against 2 points here. We don't have any good defensive terrain. Would it be the other way around? I think the Swedes would have got an extra, shift in the odds table because they are uphill. So it's a straight 1-to-1, and no, it's actually -1 because I didn't think about that. The Prussians, I know the Prussians, I mean the Saxons, they have 90 morale, the Swedish only 8, so it's actually a 1-to-2 attack. But we're gonna do it since I started it off. We need to do it, so let's see. This is not good for the Swedes, but we'll check what happens. That's a 7. Let's check the table. So 1-to-2, a 7 is A1. Not too bad. They need to retreat 1 hex. So they're actually retreating to one of their rear hexes, so they go into the line. And these guys can actually follow, and they will do that now. So they get on the same level here, upper level. By the way, if the Swedes would have, or if nothing would have happened or whatever here, a counter charge actually stops these guys' movement, but you can always gain ground after a combat, so they are allowed to take that ground. Now it will be a more difficult thing to get these guys. I mean, if I go here and attack, I also probably need to attack these guys and so forth. So this is a bit difficult. So maybe, well, if I put myself there, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the terrain, 5. Here we could do a counter charge actually, but that's a risky thing to do since the morale is as it is. So I'm gonna let them come upon me here as the Swedish player. Now, should the dragoons do anything? We could attack here, of course. Would that be enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I could get there. So now we could do a counter charge. Then we have the same. Now I actually get the better morale, so I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna get counter charge here with the Scanians. So the Saxons are, they have fire capabilities. So we're gonna fire with them first. That's a 10. That's interesting. So it's 2, and a 10 is actually, it's -1. So these actually take a hit. Wow, that was cool. So that was a good charge from those guys, but they're not retreating or anything, so the battle will take place here eventually. We have the second one here. The thing that is not so funny as the Saxon play is that I have a less good morale here when it comes to the battle. But if I do like this, 1 and 2. By the way, these guys cannot countercharge me now because they have an enemy unit in their front hexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And since there's no battle happening now, we will not shoot. That's all there. I think I might move the infantry from the reserve line. These cavalry, is there any good reason to attack with them other than to do a last hurrah? These are 8 morale guys, so we could actually, we're quite even, but these guys have the king, so they will get the shift in their favor there. So yeah, let's go on the attack with these are Dünewald dragoons. Okay, so if you do a facing change in terrain with cavalry, you also need to pay for the terrain. But since I can move to my front axis, I go 1, 2. I'm not sure if I'm doing that correctly, actually. Do I need to... Maybe we should check that out, actually. Movement. Unit orientation, that's what I'm looking for. all units must be placed on hexes with the top edge token faced an edge. 3 hexes in front of the front hexes. Yes, movement rules. Players move the units only during own phase of movement counter charge. Player can move any number of units in any order, any direction. The beginning would all restore, okay. Okay, it doesn't. Here we go. Units perform movement by paying specific cost for each hex after chasing. Do a free turn. I think I can move into any of my front hexes. I can't see any other ruling of that, so let's do that. So it's 1, 2. Here I can get counter charge actually by 2 units. Actually by 3 units. And the Swedes are aggressive, so they're gonna actually counter charge here. So we got an attack to do right now. That's also a good thing to note. Can I do it? Yeah, this is a kind of a coordinated counter charge now. So first of all, we're gonna fire. The Swedes will fire. They have 4 points that can fire, so we go to the 4+ here. That's a 6. That's a miss. So the Dynevald Dragoons will fire back at the hex where the king is. It's a 2 SP. And that's a 12. Can you believe that? So let's see now. It's an R, meaning they will get dispersed and end up here. But since the king is here, if he survives, I guess they don't get here. They can ignore that. But we need to check for the king, and a double 6 will kill him. No. So he's fine. So now I'm going to conduct the combat. And let me see now. By the way, if I get a disperse result, I still need to take a hit though. Yes. Let me see. Minus R is dispersed and one strength point. So these actually takes a hit. So what do I then have? I have 3 strength points that will charge the Dynevald Dragoons. So it's 3 to 1. No, it's 3 to 2. Actually, so it's only 1 to 1 because there's no 1.5 against 1 in this game. So it's 1 to 1, but the king will, with his combat factor, get it to 2 to 1. So 2 to 1 in odds. No other modifiers. So that's an 8. 8 in 2 to 1 is nothing. These are just staying here. So they will actually battle again when we come to the combat phase. Okay, we have Erzen Dragoons here. Think I need to give my guys some support here. So 1, 2, here I can get counter charge by actually any of these 2, or but only one of them actually. So I'm gonna actually move up my, no, I'll move up my dragoons here. So we counter charge and fire first on with the 2 strength points. That's a 7. I think that was a miss. Yes. The Saxons will fire back. 6 again, so it's a miss. Then we battle, and it's a even 1-to-1 battle. No morale differences. So we have a 7 in the 1-to-1, meaning both sides take 1 hit. Okay. Starting to get bloody here. Okay, then we actually would have 2 other cavalry units left. So we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can get counter charged again, and I think the Swedish player will do that. Take this guy, charges up here. So we got another battle. The Swedes cannot fire. They don't have the firing capability. So the Dynamo will fire. They got 9. That is probably a hit. 2 strength point, 9. Yes, that's a -1. So the Scanians take a hit before they charge against. It's 1 to 2, but they have 1 more in morale, so it's a 1 to 1. 8. 1 to 1 and 8 is actually the attacker takes a hit, and I wonder why is there a minus there? Maybe it means nothing, basically. Yeah, so the attacker takes a hit. So actually this, the first loss of the game is actually a Swede. So one of those units are gone, and we're gonna shift the morale 1 step to the Saxon side. That was interesting. Since these guys got countercharged, they need to stop here. We have another of the Erzen Dragoons here, but I don't think I can really reach anything. Actually, I can if I go into the woods here. How much does the woods cost me? I think it's... could be 3 points. So it will be 1, 2, and 6. Yep. Let's do that so we can attack them. Okay, so it's a fierce countercharge from the cavalry before they get off the game, basically. So we have a lot of combat to do now, since we come to the combat phase. And let me just check again on, here we are. So attack phase, units with initiative can or must, if such a situation occurs. I think it says they must attack units in their front axis. So let's do that. So we start over here. So these guys will attack here, these here, and 2 attacks here. And then we'll see what happens over here. So here I will attack first any rifle fire, as the phase is called. And the Swedish can actually fire. That's certainly a miss. So then we have a 2 against 2. It's a 1 to 1 in odds, but then the Saxons have a higher morale with 1. So they're gonna have a 2 to 1. And that's a 7. In 2 to 1, I think that was a... that's actually a B1. Meaning defender needs to go 1 back. Like that. This means we need to check. The morale is 8. Okay, I don't need to do a morale check on those guys then. These guys can follow. Second attack. Swedes will fire. 8. Is that something? No, it's just below the hits there. So nothing there. So we have the same situation. 2 to 1 for the Saxons. 7, is that the same result? Yeah, B1. We don't need to check for a morale for the Swedes. Though, then we have this one. And here we got... actually, the Saxons can fire with 2 units. It's 4 in strength. And they roll an 11. Oh my. 11 on a 4 strength is R. Meaning these guys will take a hit. So they die. Then they would have been dispersed. But they actually die before that. So the Saxons are now up 1 more on the morale track here. And these guys can move in. Wow, the Saxons are really performing great. They're giving the Swedes a good match here, that's for sure. Now, how should we attack here? I think I'll attack here, here, and then I take 2 units attacking Charles. So let's start here. Both sides will fire. Start with the Saxons. They have a 2 strength unit. 5, that's a miss. Then we have the Swedish Dragoons. 7 with 1 strength points is certainly not a hit. So we're gonna attack with 2 to 1. That's an 8. Nothing happens. Okay, that was just bounce off there. Let's take the other flank then first. The Erzen Dragoons from the woods attacks here, It's 2-2, it's 1-1, and no morale, so it's a straight 1-1 attack. Oh, bad roll for the Saxons. 11. 1-1 is attacker retreats 1 hex, and then they need to be dispersed. But there's no problem for them to retreat. Then they go to the dispersal, but I don't even bother to put them there because these will be removed anyway. So I'll just remove it from the game. But they are not dead, so to speak. Okay, that was interesting. So these are the, you know, the lifeguards, so it's called in Swedish livgrenadier, not livgrenadier, livregementet till häst. So it's a horse guards, you could say. Okay, then we have the last battle to do. We have dragoons here as well, so the Saxons will fire with 3 strength points. There's a 5, that's certainly a miss. Then we have a 1 strength point for the Swedes. That's a miss as well. Then we see how the attack goes. We have 3 points against 1. That's 3-1. But Charles will help the Swedes a bit, so it's only 2-1. 5. That's B1. So the Swedes need to retreat 1 hex, but you know, they don't need to check the morale check for a B1. You need to have a 7 to check that. And the Saxons will follow into the gap. And I think that was all actually. So now we come to the end of turn 1, meaning the Saxons, even though I think they are performing pretty well, they decide to, nope, maybe they see the, you know, this big column of horse coming in on the horizon when they come up this hill here, so they just, you know, leave the battlefield basically. Finally, the Swedes cannot pursue out of the following them and killing anybody off. So here's the situation now for turn 2. Okay, so turn 2, this means also that we will get the second batch of Swedish reinforcements this turn. So now let's see. Oh, by the way, I forgot to move the Saxon infantry the last turn. I'm gonna give myself, or give the Saxons the chance to do that. I should have moved these reserves. I was so concentrated about this cavalry. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna do that. So I think I'm just gonna move up to widen my flank a bit. So these guys, these are the Furstenberg. I think it's 2 for infantry in woods. So it'd be 1 and 3. So we have some flanking support there. These guys will just fill the gap between Janitz and the hill here. So I just wanted to bring these up to fill these 4 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the it's Polish infantry, I believe. It says Polska and Saxonia, so I think they are counted as Polish. Then we have Schulenburg himself with an infantry unit called Augusta. 1, 2 for moving on a slope. 3 and 4, so they can't really reach that gap. 1, 2, 3. There's another one of these. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think I move like that first. Something like that. At least I have my anchor on this village, which would be a bit more difficult for the Swedish cavalry to attack through, I guess. So that was the Saxon movement of turn 1, actually. So now we go to turn 2, and now it's the Swedes. So we have the artillery phase. There's no Swedish artillery, so we're gonna go to the movement phase right from the start. So question is, could we charge these 2 a bit detached infantry units here? Maybe we could do one with the Pruski and attack here as well with the Scanians. Another thing is that we could start attacking this main line here. Let me see. I think one of them will be attacked at least. So let's start with the Pruski. 2. That would be 4 actually. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3.5 really. 4. Then we have, so I could attack here and here. Remember, cavalry is doubled when they attack infantry, so I will have 2 to 1 on each of these. Maybe that's enough. How about Schulenburg? Should we attack him? We have a good cavalry units here that could attack. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these could go 1, 2. Here the artillery could fire at me. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, let's do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe wonder if I need to stop when I go into enemy zone of control. Got a bit uncertain about that. Makes sense. They should affect zone of control movement. After entering enemy zone, unit must stop. Okay, that's not good. So I cannot go through that hex, which is pretty much good. I need to go through that lane. So we need to go here, giving ourselves an artillery fire on us. So let's do that. So it's good to see how that works. So it's light artillery, 2 strength points. So it's this table, and it's a range of 3. That's a 9. I think that's a good. I think high rolls are good on this table. So what did we say? 2 in strength. Range was 3. Actually, I think this is also, if you look at these tables, this is the range 1 to 4, 1 to 4, and 1 to 4, and then you have the roll on the x axis here. Then we'll look at this table, the light artillery, who has a 3 hex range. 1, 2, 3, that makes sense. Suddenly it says 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. That doesn't make sense. It should be 1, 2, 3 here as well. So it's little things like this that a bit bothers me with this production of this game. So 3 hex range is actually what says 4 here. So anyway, 2 strength points, 4 or a 3 hex range, and we rolled a 9. So that's actually a hit. So artillery can be pretty effective in this game. But the thing is, this artillery cannot fire any reaction fire on 3 hex range anymore. But these guys take a hit, but they can continue. Some of the horses were left behind. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then comes this one. 1, 2, now they cannot fire at me. 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we are charging into Schulenburg himself. And this is cool because he was actually wounded in this battle when he tried to, straighten the infantry lines after the cavalry went away. So this is pretty much what's happened in history as well. And I like those things. Okay, so where should we go next? I mean, I'm a bit afraid to closing in on those artillery units. They fire so hard. So let me see. Still, I think Charles would have done it. He just would have charged, So let's do that. Let's take this one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay, here they can fire at 2 hex range. So boom, here comes the fire. That's a 9. That's of course a hit because now they're even closer. But let's see if anything else happened. So it's a 3 hex range. We rolled a 9. No, 2 hex range. We rolled a 9. It's -1, so it's still 1 hit. Boom. Okay, and then we come here. That hurt. So we now have fired at 2 hex range as well. Then we have this one. I'm gonna charge 1, 2, 3. Now I'm at 1 hex range, so the artillery can fire once more. It's his last reaction fire for this. So we got 11. Okay, artillery is in a good shape today. So 1 hex range, 11 is R. An R means you lose 1 point and then you are dispersed. And this is the last point here. Boom. We have lost 3 Swedish units already. And as you can see, now the Saxons are coming up to the 1 spot here on this track. So meaning from next turn on, they get 1 extra bonus in their any battles. But the Swedes has this turn to try to get this track down again. I hope I get a few good charges this turn. And now we have also fired at 1 hex range, so that artillery is pretty much done. But we have a second deadly artillery here. I was thinking I could charge these Russians over here. Let's see. I don't think I dare to attack these guys in the woods. I think I get too many minus attacking into woods. I think it's -2 or something, or at least -1. How many? So I think it might be. I'm not sure. I need to check that. But at least -1. It could be 2 actually. So we would attack in 2 bad numbers there, so I don't want to do that. On the other hand, this artillery is scary as heck, but I'm gonna attack still. What's underneath here? Ostromirski. Okay, so we have 2 points of infantry and then this artillery unit there. I think I need to attack that with 2 units and then I attack here with Charles. So let's do this. Okay, Charles is only a 1-point unit with his okay, this will not be easy. Let's see how it goes. 1, 2. Now I'm in artillery range. They will fire at 3 hex range. 9 again. Can you believe it? They're all good now. So 3 hex range, 9. It's a hit. Oh man. So this goes down. Another on this track. And Charles will actually automatically, if it's not a loss, he will relocate. Oh man, that was close. So he will relocate now to the Reinfeldt's cavalry here. So now I need to think again. How do I want to do this? Okay, so we got the 3 hex range is done. Where do I want to go now? I mean, I have been shot to pieces here. I think maybe I should instead attack these guys that are is a bit exhausted already. So let's do like this then. I'll wait with that. I go with this guy first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then these 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm in 2 hex range. They can fire. 4. That looks better for the Swedes. 4 is on the 2 hex range. Not a hit. So we managed to go here, and these guys have now fired also the 2. These are done. So okay. Thing is though, I need to attack these guys here. Well, that's good enough. Okay, now for some reinforcements. Think I'll press on this flank with some, and the guys from the rear will give Charles some support. So Velink with his Northern Scanian dragoons, or actually not dragoons, these are proper cavalry. They should be a full strength. I don't know why it wasn't 1 strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can actually participate in this charge already. That's cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gonna give some reserves there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna keep them to fill any gaps that may be needed after this battle. The Drabants. Okay, I think I'll bring more troops to the center because I have an exposed flank on my right hand side now as a Swedish player. I don't want that. Charles can be, you know, attacked from the rear, and that would not be good. So the Drabants to the rescue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm just gonna bring these guys on. Maybe we should count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's bring them on like that. Then we had the new reinforcements coming. So we have some light cavalry that goes 8. Let's bring them in first. I think Stenbock will be with his cavalry, this Stenbock's cavalry here. So let's bring in some lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, these can just fill in here at the end. Something like that. So now we come to the battles, and there's a bunch of them to do, as you can see. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna start from the end here. So let's see. So these guys will attack here. I guess these guys need to attack here. These guys here. Then we'll see. Maybe these two can attack Schulenburg. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen, I presume. So let's start from here. So the Swedish will fire first. They got the 7. The cavalry table, that's a miss. Now we'll see some proper musketry. We're gonna see fire in this table with Saxonia battalion or regiment or whatever that is. That's an 11. That sounds bad for the Swedish. Let's see. So we have a 2 strength points. We have what did I say? An 11. That's an R, meaning they take a hit. Let's say we fire at that guy. We take a hit. Yeah, it was these two battles actually. Take a hit and then they are dispersed. So we got the first guy on the dispersed track now. So it's not going too well for the Swedish, these attacks. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, next one, these needs to attack here. First we have the Swedish fire. They got an 8. 8 on a 2 strength is just a miss. Then we have the musketry, the Polsk. Maybe these are... I know that in this battle, actually, both the Polish and Saxon guards were present. These could be these guys, even though I thought they would have a morale maybe of 9. But I might... Yeah, I can't see who else these guys are. So these are probably the guards units. That's cool. So then we have the Polish guards firing back. Not too good. 5. I think that might be a miss. 2 strength points. Yeah, that's a miss. So now we're gonna see the cavalry charge on these infantry. So cavalry is doubled against infantry in close combat. So it's 4 to 2. So it's 2 to 1, and there's no morale difference. So 2 to 1. Wait a minute. I think these guys should be there as well, of course. They don't have any other target. So, yes. So it's actually... I have 8 points. So it's actually 4 to 1. And here we have a morale. It's 5 to 1. And we have Velling 6 to 1. So this is an amazing. I should actually have fired with... No, these guys couldn't fire. That's good. So we didn't do a mistake there. So what did we say? 4 to 1, 5 to 1 for the morale, and 6-1 because we have Velink who gives 1 extra bonus in combat. So 6-1, and this is amazing. 9. That's a bad roll though, but let's see. 6-1 on a 9 would be B2. So these guys need to retreat 2 hexes, but they take no hits. Now, they need to retreat to their rear hexes. They cannot retreat here because we have an own unit. They cannot retreat there because it's in the front hex of another Swedish unit. So these guys need to retreat there, which they can. So 2 hexes, 1, 2. They have 8 in morale. And this is infantry with 8 in morale. They retreated 2. So we're actually going to roll a die. If we roll a 1, they are dispersed. No, these are guards. They don't disperse that easily. So these 2 could actually follow now. And I want to do that. And I can actually follow 2 hexes. So these guys go there, and these guys could go there. And I actually will do that. So we are kind of pursuing the Polish guard down to the rear there. Okay, so no losses for the Saxons yet, but we are pushing them back. But I was hoping to get a strength point loss on those guys there, to be honest. Next attack. These 2 will charge Schulenburg's infantry battalion there, or the battalion Augusta. The Swedish cannot fire, but the Saxons will. And I will target... Let's target the weak one. That's a 9, sounds good. It's 2 in strength. That's a -1. So we actually shoot these guys off the board. And we get another one on this track. It's crazy. Saxons are... I mean, for the next turn on, they will get 1 more in each combat. Maybe 2 soon if there are more Swedish losses. But the second guy here will actually charge. So we get doubled. So we have 2-1. These guys don't give anything on the combat. No shift on the table. But they prevent these guys from dispersing. So it's a 2-1. Let's see what happens. 2-1 and a 6 rolled. A 6 is a B1. Okay, B1. So these guys need to retreat 1 hex. Now, do I want to go forward there? I don't think I want to go into both of these guys' front hexes there. So I'm going to not pursue. And I don't think I need to roll for these guys. I mean, they cannot disperse anyway because they have Schulenburg with them. I think, though, we need to see if... I think after each battle you need to check for leader losses. We're going to also check Velink there first. He's battled. Over that was close. Now we're going to check Schulenburg. He's fine as well. We need to roll 2 6s to get a leader loss. Okay, so that's done. Let's see now. We need to attack these guys from here. Okay, I need to do this sequence. These attack here, and Charles with his guys attack the Russians. That's how it must be done. So we start from here. Both guys can actually fire. We start with the Swedes. That's a 9, but it's only a 1 strength point. So because of that, they don't hit. Would have been a 2 strength point, they would have actually gotten a hit. So no hit there. We got musketry from Weimar battalion there. And they rolled a 6. They have a 2 strength. That's a miss. So nothing there. Then we go to the attack. These guys are doubled, so it's 2-2. And there's no morale difference. By the way, did I count with a morale difference here? I don't remember. Let's forget that. Here, though, we have not. So it's a straight 1-1 attack here. That's a good roll for the Swedes. It's a 3. On a 1-1, that means B1 minus 1. Meaning these guys need to retreat 1 hex, and they also take a loss. And since they need to retreat into my front hex, I mean the Swedish front hex, they take another loss. And we had the first Saxon loss actually. So the Weimar battalion is done, and now this creeps down again. Okay, and I'm gonna actually take ground here. Second attack. We have, this is Rienskjöld's own cavalry, so they will now fire. Yeah, 2 strength points firing. Oh, Snake Eye, that's bad, nothing. Then we have musketry from the Saxon regiment here. Maybe these are Saxon guards actually, I don't know. Okay, so we get, yeah, 2 strength points firing out, 3, that's certainly a miss. So nothing there. So we have 4 strength points against 3. You count these as 1 strength point in close combat. So that's not enough for a 2-to-1. There's no morale difference. So we get a straight 1-to-1 battle there. That's a 7 on the 1-to-1, meaning both sides lose 1 step. Okay, so we take a hit here, and that infantry unit there will also take a... Actually, I think actually all defenders takes a step, to be honest. I think the guy in the that I watched playing this in the Polish guy did like this, so I'm gonna do that as well. So both these take a step loss. All defenders do that. So the artillery is also down to 1. Some of the guns were taken. As in history, the Swedes managed to take one of the guns in the first Saxon line here. But they are holding the ground, and yeah, hard fighting going on. We have one more battle to do. It's Charles himself charging together with one of the Rienskjöld's bunch of squadrons here from this regiment, attacking the Russians, bailing, I don't know what that is actually, battalion here. So both sides can fire. We start with Rienskjöld. That's an 11. Wow, now something starts happening. So we have 2 strength points, rolling 11. That's, okay, that's bad for the Russians. They're gonna take a hit, and then they get dispersed. Bam, so we put them to the dispersed, but they will also fire though first. That's an 8 on the musketry table. 2 strength points, 8 is a hit. So even these guys take a hit, and we're gonna see if Charles is alive. He is. Okay, and we could take ground, but I think I will not go into that cauldron there. So, have these guys taken a lot of losses? Yes, they have. The morale track is not changed if they only end up here in the dispersed things. All right, that was actually all for this turn. So we can remove all these things, and then it's actually the Saxons' turn too. We have the artillery phase first. Thing is though, I think these guys, there is a rule saying something about artillery. I need to check that, how it works with, you know, I just need to log in here just a sec to see the rule book. So artillery, I think artillery is in the end of the rule book. Here we go. I think though, artillery which are beginning their own artillery phase has an enemy unit at the neighboring hex. It can fire only to that unit. It's in artillery front zone. Yes, but actually these guys have Charles just in their front zone, so they can actually fire there. And that's not good news. A 10 sounds like something really bad, but it's only a 1 strength unit now, and the range is 1. and we rolled a 10. That's a dispersal, but we also need to take a hit. So these guys actually die. We got this going up to the 1 here again, and he's relocated to a nearby enemy that's not adjacent to an enemy, so he actually gonna take control of the Drabants here, the elite of the Swedish cavalry. So good fire from those guys, and these guys don't have any targets, so we can move on to Saxon movement phase. Okay. Saxon movement phase. Where could we counterattack? Could we? The thing is, if we move anything here, you know, the Swedish cavalry just countercharge me. So it's a bit of a difficult thing here. And we need to attack any guys on our front hexes, so I mean, attacking here would be quite suicidal. So there's a rule saying that a unit, if it's paying all its movement cost, it can move 1 step to one of his rear hexes, and by that also exit the enemy zone of control. So and by that you cannot countercharge him. So this unit will actually do that. They retreat into Janishevo, or Janitz here, the village. Here gonna be also a suicide if I just stay here. So either I back off or I bring in more troops and countercharge the North Ghanaian cavalry regiment. I could get in quite nice musketry fire here actually. So I'm gonna take my chances to do that. So Schulenburg here will, well, if he starts turning, these guys will countercharge him. Even these guys could. So it's not that easy actually. I cannot do it. I cannot help these guys. So that sucks a bit. So let me see. But while thinking of it, if I leave these guys here, then these guys cannot charge. Yeah. Think I need to do that. So here's what I'm gonna do. These guys will move 1. Now these could charge me. Now I could get 2 guys attacking those, you know. But I will countercharge them here. So these guys will attack Schulenburg's gang here, who will first do musketry. That's a 5, that's a miss. And then we charge them. So it's 4-2, it's 2-1. These guys don't give anything. We have 1 in morale, so it's actually 3-1. Good Swedish chance here and a good roll. 4 on the 3-1 table is a B2. These guys need to go 2 hexes back. They cannot go straight back because there's Swedish zone of control. So they need to go 1, 2. And we don't bother to roll on the dispersed table because we have a leader with us. But I wonder if we need to check first if Schulenburg survived that battle actually. He did. So I can now follow with these guys. 1. I could go 1 more if I want, but I think I'll stay there. Maybe not. I will not advance actually. I'm a bit afraid of getting these guys in my flank. So I'm good there. So we scared away these guys. That was the target, so we don't get too much of an attack here. But now, since that attack failed, we actually gonna do that disengagement there. This guy worries me though. So thing is though, the bad thing here is if I want to help these guys out, I need to move these guys into position. But now these guys, since they don't have any enemy adjacent to them, they could countercharge. They could charge me here. This is not good. So I actually need to just stay here with that crawlaway infantry battalion. I don't know who those guys are, to be honest. Okay, that's it anyway. Here we're just gonna stay. We need to attack, of course. That's gonna cost us, but that's how it is. How should I put up a defense over here? I know there are lots of cavalry coming in that will hit me really soon. I need to get my line up. Let me see. Artillery can go 3. It's pretty good a position here if you could put the line up like that. So I'm gonna do that. So these guys will just do a shift of facing there. The Furstenbergs will go 1, 2, 3. Maybe even 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we take these guys. One, 2, 3, 4. I should have gotten them there, but it's not possible. And then we have Thiesenhausen 1, 2, and that Drost is with them here, like that. So we have put up a new line of defense because we know there will come a new cavalry charge there. I should maybe just have put them there, actually. I'm gonna do that. I will not go too far. That's the line. That's how they're gonna receive the Swedish charge. Otherwise, I don't think I can do anything. I cannot do facing changes within enemy socks, so these guys cannot do anything. And they need to attack, actually. You need to attack, you guys, in your front hexes. I'm pretty sure I saw a rule about that. So we're gonna do that. All right. Was that all of movement? I think so. I could disengage here. I'm thinking of maybe doing it, because if I am forced to attack, I'll attack with 2 against 2, which would be 4. So it's 1 to 2, and then also Velink will bring that down. So it's 1 to 3. It's suicides. I need to retreat, actually, with those Polish guards as well. Of course, I would do the musketry fire first. I could bring these down to 1 strength with a bit of luck, but I cannot count on it. So I'm gonna do a disengagement there. So now for the attacks, and there's 2 attacks I need to do, here and here. So we're gonna start with musketry. So Tromp's battalion will fire against the Bremish cavalry there. A 2 strength point attack, that seems good. 2 points, a 10 is -1. So we get these cavalry off the board, and we are going up 1 step further. Perfect roll there. Then we have these guys, Saxon. There's only 1 strength point infantry there. By the way, I need to fire back with that 1 strength Swedish first. Almost forgot, they missed. Now, the 1 strength musketry. That's a 6, that's for sure a miss, right? Yep. The Swedish will fire back, 1 strength point. 7, that's a miss. So then we have the attack. So I don't think, maybe the artillery could count. I think it does. So that's 1 strength point, 2 strength points, and I have 2 strength points on the Swedish side as well. So it's a 1-to-1 attack. That's a 7 on the 1-to-1, meaning B1. No, here we are. 7 on the 1-to-1, right? Let me see. Was there any? The same morale. 2 points, 2 points, because these are doubled when fighting with infantry. So 7 on a 1-to-1 is actually both sides take a step loss. So the Swedish are dead. 1 more. But we lose 2 Saxon units. Bam, the artillery is gone. So this goes 2 down again. And man, that's a slaughter. That's basically a slaughter, right? Man, that's how it is. And we are only on turn 2, and the dead pile is just amazing here. All right. Crazy, but that's how it is. So we're done with any combats. Then we move on to turn 3 and the Swedish turn. I think I might actually break the game here, and I'll do the rest in a part 2. But so far, well, I think it's hard to create history here in a way, because you know, these guys were pretty much retreating off, leaving 2 battalions to hold off the Swedes and then do a big defensive line somewhere here back. I mean, it's impossible to do that with in this game, I believe. If they start marching back here and just leave 2 units here, Swedes will just ride around them and can attack the retreating Saxons. So we need to fight here as the Saxons, but it doesn't look too good. I mean, it looks good here because now we are certainly in the lead as a Saxon player, but I mean, they are wearing us down. So in the end, I think I'm not sure. The musketry fire and the artillery fire is really effective. We have lost 1 artillery unit as the Saxon player now, and that's bad. But there's no reinforcements. By the way, I should have gotten back these Russians during the initial phase of these turns, so I'm gonna do that. I'll put him here. They must appear adjacent to the leader. But anyway, hard to say what I think of this system so far. It feels... the good thing is, at least, it's cool. It's really fast playing, and there's not that much, I need to check up in the rules, and not many modifiers and all that. It's pretty straightforward. But I wonder if it's reflecting the style of combat that was happening here. I mean, I feel the Swedes has taken too many losses already. They have lost 8 units against 3 Saxon, if you don't count that cavalry that run off, but they are not counted as victory points. And they did some damage in the turn 1 before they left the field. But we'll see how it ends. We have nice Swedish reinforcements coming in, so that could be a game changer when we get the second wave and the third wave attacking eventually. So let's see what happens. But by that, I think we're done for today, and let's see what happens in part 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Bye bye.